my screens. But I'm Alice O'Neill, and I'm a project consultant for Circulor. I'm a lot more tech savvy normally, but we'll just forget about that for now. I've been with Circulor for just coming up to a year, and previous to that, I'm also a geologist, so I feel like I'm in quite good company here. I have experience working in the gemstone mining industry. I was an exploration geologist out in Mozambique, and that's where kind of my passion for traceability started. I started to kind of think, there was a lot of artisanal mining happening there, and I was thinking, the gemstones that we're mining, what is the difference for the consumer from the gemstones that I'm seeing every day to the artisanal gemstone mining that's going on? And that's when I started to think deeper and deeper into that kind of traceability along the supply chain. So thanks, Carolyn. And Carolyn mentioned that we work with many commodities, and I expect. Yeah.
I know. Oh, good. Sorry.
Sorry. So Carolyn mentioned we work with lots of commodities, and I expect many of you over lockdown have spent hours listening to blockchain webinars, and I expect a lot of those were talking about tracking cobalt through the supply chain. And yes, we use blockchain technology to do that, but today I think it's really important that we speak about a lesser known high-risk commodity, mica. So some of you may or may not know what mica is, but mica is a sheet silicate, a very common rock-forming mineral, the most common forms being biotite, muscovite, phlogopite, and lepidolite. It has a low thermal electrical conductivity, it's chemically inert, it's also high strength, high luster, and highly reflective, as you can see here. And the combination of these properties means that mica is used extensively in the automotive, electrical, and cosmetic industries. And actually, all of us today at some point have probably touched mica without realizing. It is in a huge amount of products. So, what are these products? So these two products on the screen I appreciate very, very, very different, but they both contain mica. So currently the electronics and automotive industries consumes the largest amount of mica. Any electrical device contains a component comprising of mica, and it's been estimated that there are up to 15,000 parts that could contain mica in one single car. This is not only in the interior, but also on the exterior of the car, because mica is what gives cars that really nice shine that we all look for in a new car, and probably what Carolyn looked for in her new electric vehicle. But mica is also in the internal workings of a car. So it's mica is formed into mica paper and inserted into EV batteries. And what that mica paper does is act as a barrier to stop any fires. If a fire were to break out within a battery, it stops it from spreading. So electric vehicle sales are expected to rise by 75% a year in order to cater for the ban of petrol and diesel cars in 2035. So I think that's actually been brought forward in the UK. But this is, we're expecting mica sales to soar. And so we also see that there is some nice eyeshadows there also. And mica is a common product within the cosmetics industry. Ground mica is used to give pearlescent pigments to that, like to eyeshadows, lipsticks, shimmer, body lotion, anything with that that nice shine is given from mica. And There's actually been, since 2008, there's been a 30-fold increase in the use of mica, and so I find this actually quite interesting, because since 2008, I would think there's actually been quite a large uprising of people, and particularly young people, demanding to know where their materials are coming from. But and many companies claim to not test on animals, and claim to be ethical. But I think what we need to start asking is, they might be animal cruelty free, these products, but are they human cruelty free? So why is mica a high risk product? On this graph, or on this image, you can see that there are 2 countries that have been found guilty of child labour in mica mining, and this is India and Madagascar. There's also plenty of other countries that are suspected of child labour in mica mining, and then we also have countries that are consuming that mica mined by children. So within India and Madagascar, the 2 countries obviously guilty, it's been heavily reported that child labour is rife. In Madagascar, at least 50% of mica is mined by children who range in age between about 5 and 17, and this is around 11,000 vulnerable children. Similarly, within India, we know that this is probably around 22,000 vulnerable children who are at risk here. Mica mines are incredibly dangerous. Just to give you a bit of an insight here. So, yeah, they're incredibly dangerous, and it has been noted that that pit collapses and serious injuries from pit collapses are quite prevalent. And within India, it has been noted that mica mines do have a set rate for to pay families who lose loved ones, and this is around 30,000 rupees, which is about £300. Sorry, and the fatalities within mica mines in India is believed to be around 10 to 20 people a month, but the true figures are not actually known. It's quite a close guarded thing, so we don't actually know the true figures. Often these deposits are mined by children because they're quite easy to pick. So phlogopite is often situated around in deposits where there's been lots of alteration, and therefore the phlogopite is quite easy to pick. But because of the nature of these deposits, they're also vulnerable to collapse, and that's when we get pit collapses, which I have in the mining industry where I've worked before. Unfortunately, I have been privy to pit collapses, and they are horrific. And it shouldn't be happening. But under all of this, there will be a warren of networks, and they can be very deep, these holes. And children are often used because they are small and fit down holes, but also their families are are very poor and vulnerable to exploitation themselves. So at Circulor, we work really hard to map the flow of materials, to really understand what goes on throughout at a high level throughout the entire supply chain, from mine to an original equipment manufacturer, so either an electronics company, a car manufacturer, or a cosmetics company. We try and understand the supply chain throughout. But we also spend a lot of time thinking about the flow of materials at a facility level. So, for instance, at a mine, we'll understand, as the ore is mined, when it goes to maybe a wash plant, or it goes to further processing or onto refining, we try and understand all of the flow of materials through that point. So, for example, if we go back to mica mining, we would tag the bag within a geofence location, recording the date and time, and potentially the miner who has mined the material. We also understand that, as I've mentioned, materials often transported from the mine site to be further processed, and that transportation and logistical process is really important to also track. So, for instance, the truck that transports the material can be tracked to ensure it's not dropping material off at unknown locations or deviating from a route to partake in illegal activities. I have known trucks on mines to disappear into the bush with a full truckload and come out empty, and also to be driven off mines. So, I do think that tracking, the materials on the mine, and also the logistics process that go around with the mining process. It's so important for mines to be able to prove where their materials come from, because we're seeing more and more pressure from not only consumers, but also at the other end of the supply chain, from the large consumer goods companies at the end, or the original equipment manufacturers, whoever is purchasing that commodity. So I think Louisa is going to explain a little bit more about the technology we use. So apologies about my technical difficulties, but I think Louisa is going to outshine me in that department at the moment.
Very good. Yeah, no, I think it was good for us to kind of feel more grounded, to understand what the situation is on site and some of the technologies that you mentioned. I think that everybody has interest in that. Okay.